Thank you for having me.
No worries. Thanks for being here. I normally like to start just by telling people that haven't seen the show yet what I've been doing since the beginning of April. So when the pandemic hit and we started closing businesses, and kind of slowing down a little bit, I was thinking of different ways that I can help local businesses here in Southwest Florida. And having a big following on Instagram, I thought that one of the ways that I could do would be have these live videos with local business owners, business managers, and allow them to kind of showcase themselves, their businesses, their services, their products a little bit in hopes that, it will help them with customers and sales, right? So I've been doing this. We're close to 100 live videos already. It's coming up pretty soon in the next few weeks here. So over 75, between 75 and 100. It's been a lot of fun. I've learned a lot about all kinds of businesses, all the people that make up the businesses behind, the different industries in our community here. And, from what I hear, the feedback from the businesses too is that it's been, positive for them as well. So very excited about that and very excited to have you here today. This is the first roofing company that I'll be talking to. And, funny enough that it worked out this week that I have all home improvement lives this week. So I called it my home edition, and that's how I have this week. So very excited to have here. I want to talk to you, obviously, about CFS Roofing. But before, wanted to see if you could introduce yourself a little bit. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and if you're not from the area, how did you end up down here?
Well, thank you for having me this evening. Well, my name is David Crowther, and I am the owner of CFS Roofing. And my wife and I started this business approximately 11 years ago. But I came from a family business that's originated with my grandfather back up in the Chicago area back in the 1950s. And so after my grandfather had started the roofing company, his sons and son-in-laws and my uncles and my brothers and my cousins, and it just seemed like it was a family, just like a family industry, if you would, that came out of the Midwest. My uncle relocated down here due to health issues back in the early 70s. He started a little roofing company. And we eventually, a part of my family had migrated down here to this area. And that's how I actually got down here, was graduated from college in the Midwest where there was snow on the ground. And I didn't, to be honest with you, I just had a choice. I could stay and be in the roofing business in the Midwest, or I could just go to Florida and be in the roofing business in Florida. And so that's what I chose. I chose the sunshine and the beaches is what I did.
Yeah. That makes total sense. I think a lot of us, I'm not originally from here either, and I think a lot of us that come down here, that's why we're here, right? I came from the Boston area, so I totally relate to snow and cold and all that stuff. So,
well, and if you think about it, up in the Midwest and up in the Boston area, very similar climate up there. You can only roof about 9 months out of the year, so theoretically, the math would add up. You should make more money working 12 months out of the year than you do working 9 months out of the year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, kind of transitioning a little bit from, your personal story of kind of coming down here to when you decided to open the business. What was the, idea behind it, and what did you want to be able to, do different for your customers than other roofing companies in the area?
Well, coming from a rather large family business, it kind of lost control of the customer contact. In other words, it turned out to be more of a numbers game. And so I got back to basics when the economy actually started declining back in the 2010 and 11 and that kind of era. I just went back to basics, rolling up my sleeves. Working with owners, working in privity with owners, if you will, and actually, it's the old-fashioned handshake and calling and doing a lot of the work and myself and making that contact, and so that's just where it all started. And I was going to concentrate on the 3-county area rather than doing a lot of travel, and so that's something that I did different from at least from the company that I was at, the family business that I was at before.
Awesome. And then moving into, the types of services, obviously, you're a roofing company, so you do roofs, but, there's obviously different styles of roofs. There's different things. And I've learned a lot about roofing and roofs because Hurricane Irma, right? So I actually had a lot of damage to my roof, and I had to replace it. So I kind of learned a little bit about it. But for those that are not as familiar or were fortunate that they didn't have to replace their roof, I mean, if we can kind of cover a little bit the services that you provide and the different options that people have, I think that will be very helpful.
Well, CFS Roofing covers obviously a lot of different roofing assemblies. But first of all, I do 50% of my work is commercial work, maybe even 60% of it. I do a lot of schools and federal buildings and that kind of stuff, public money stuff. But then I entered into the residential market about 6 or 7 years ago, and we got into an array of different type of roofing assemblies. And let me just kind of outline that. There's your shingle roofs, which is very common, very typical throughout the United States of America. Shingles are probably the most popular roof in this country. And then there's the concrete tile, which is very, very dominant in Southwest Florida, or actually from Tampa South all the way through South Florida. Here in Southwest Florida, there's a lot of concrete tile roofs, which is kind of different than the rest of the country. I mean, there's pockets in Southern California, Arizona, Texas, and then of course South Florida. There's a lot of concrete tile. But you get up to Boston or Chicago or Philly or New York or Cleveland and those kind of areas, you don't see a whole lot of concrete tile roofs. So concrete tile is a very big product, a very big specialty industry down here in itself. Then the other thing that we do, and we do quite well at, is which has been very popular. The trends are really changing in today's world. Is architectural metal roofs. They come in a variety of colors and seam sizes and widths and that kind of stuff. And I would tell you that maybe 20 years ago, that was probably less than 1% or 2% of our business. And here it is, fast forward 20 years, and I'll bet you it's 30% of our business. The trends are unbelievable with architectural sheet metal roofs in today's world.
Awesome. One of the things I wanted to highlight, so I live in Naples, I live in a community, and when we had to replace our roof, one of the things we had to do is get the authorization to ensure that we're putting the correct roof and the color and all that stuff. I mean, those are also the type of services and the type of tasks that you're assisting your clients with to ensure that they get all the proper authorization, both from the city, from the community they're in, if they're in a community, and all that. You support in that sense as well, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, of course. As many roofs as we do, we set up obviously a system and a process to walk through that thing. But it's all done in the planning. There is a tremendous amount of work that goes behind the scenes before we actually start a roofing project. And color selections of the tile, from the types of underlayments that we use to the types of metal that we use on the perimeter edges, the flashings, and what color they are, the permitting process, the securing the materials and coordinating the shipping and the hoisting of the materials. Not to mention, safety becomes a real big issue, especially in today's litigious world. Safety is a real big issue.
Yeah. As you are talking about the different products and services that you offer, one of the things that came to mind is obviously hurricanes, right? I just mentioned that, and that's, I think a lot of people don't think of their roof until, they hear there's a hurricane coming or the hurricane already came and made damage to it, right? What is a good routine things? What are some of the good routine things that people can do to ensure that, either inspect or, to protect, especially going into hurricane season, that people can keep an eye for or call you guys to come in and take a look at it, to ensure that they're prepared in case there is a hurricane?
Well, that's a good question. Well, let's speak residentially. Residentially speaking, a lot of homes have gutters on their houses, and it is so common for the gutters to be plugged up with leaves and you can't see it as you stand in your driveway or on your front step of your house or in the back porch. You can't see inside the gutters. And when the hurricanes come in with these monsoons of water, the gutters back up and they literally will leak in at the edges and the perimeters of the building and cause all kinds of damage. That's a big deal. But I want to quote somebody famous if I could.
Yeah, sure.
The time to fix your roof is when it's not raining. In other words, let's not wait for the hurricane to get announced on TV to start calling to have your roof checked out. While we'll certainly take those phone calls, they will literally come in by the thousands when there's a named storm out there that people will call. And it's hard to manage through and keep everybody happy. Look, we try real hard and we keep most people happy, but the reality is you should get on some type of proactive having your roof or your gutter system checked out at least once or twice annually.
Awesome. And then for, commercial, is there anything different that people should be doing?
Oh yeah, the commercial roofs, probably even more so than the residential. The commercial roofs are the low sloped roofs, the ones that people will call the flat roofs. Those a lot of times will have some drainage either in the center of the roof or on the perimeter in what we call through wall scuppers. Those things get plugged up all the time. And what can potentially happen is the water can back up on some of these commercial buildings and literally cave the roofs in and then destroy the inside of a building. It happened to a project we were doing off of Alico Road right after Irma had hit. They must have had $1 million worth of damage because the roof drains weren't cleaned out. Yeah.
And I was going to say, and that's probably something that if they had it checked before hurricane, like you said, like on a regular schedule, they would have probably figured out before that there was an issue there, or?
That's exactly right. And so one of the services that CFS provides, as an example, is a biannual roof maintenance program. And it's pretty simple. It's just go up and walk the roof twice a year and address any of those maintenance items. It's almost like changing oil in your car. You've got to do it. Your engine will go great as long as you change the oil. Boy, if you don't change the oil and check it every now and then, that engine just is not going to perform. It'll burn up and blow up. So. So roof maintenance is a big item, and it's in a lot of times out of sight, out of mind. So some people sometimes will forget to do it.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to bring this up, because I think until you, like I said it, until you hear there's a hurricane coming, or that's when you're like, oh, my roof, my windows, my everything else in your house, right? One of the other questions I wanted to bring it up to you, because it's something that I've noticed and I've talked to other people too, is the landscaping around your house also important. So if you have trees near your roof, you have trees touching your roof, or pretty close, it's something that you want to make sure that you take care of that as well, right? And you can probably speak more than
yeah, there's no doubt, especially shingle roofs, where they have those little granules that are embedded in the asphalt of the shingles, and as the leaves will, if they're touching the roof, just barely scraping them, it's just back and forth and back and forth, and do that for weeks or months at a time, you will literally knock those granules loose and cause the roof to be scraped, if you would, to the point where they'll either leak or needs to be replaced. So that's a great point. Landscaping.
So you end up needing to replace the whole piece of shingle, right? Because of the tree or the branch touching it.
Well, probably more than one shingle.
Yeah,
my guess is you'll be replacing many shingles. But that's correct.
But at least a portion of it, right?
That's correct. That's correct. And then the other thing is, at the conclusion of a potential strong storm, it doesn't always have to be a hurricane. Especially the last couple of days, we've had some monsoon rain.
Today was pretty bad, actually.
Yeah. And what happens is sometimes the neighbor's trees and branches will go blowing onto your roof and you don't even know it. So it would it's a good idea or a good habit just to walk your house after a strong storm and just look for little stains or something that may pop up.
Awesome. One of the questions that I've been asking pretty much all my guests that come here on the show is, how has COVID-19 affected you guys? To some people it has affected them positively, others negatively, others it hasn't really affected as much. Obviously we all have different measures that we have to take and different, precautions that we're taking. But from a business standpoint, did it slow you down? Did it not slow you down? Does it affect, the contact that you have with people? I know you said it in the beginning, you're very proud of, having that contact with the customer and being able to sit and talk to the customer. Does that kind of slow you down, or did you find different ways of doing that?
Well, so that's, I could probably talk for a while on this, but let me see if I can hit the highlights. So when obviously we first learned about the COVID-19 and the issues, there was a lot of head scratching going on at the time. And as a business owner, I just kind of leaned back and I thought, how long will this be around? What are the changes? What flexibility can I have as a business owner, business leader to keep my business afloat? While we were considered an essential business, what it did not address was consumer confidence. And so our numbers are down this year. Mm-hmm. They're not down horribly, but they're down probably in the 20-25% range. And but I had to start making changes, like how do my salespeople actually continue to make contact, and how do they address the the normal face-to-face meetings that they would have with clients and so forth. And so and of course we all know that people now use Zoom and phone calls and emails and that kind of stuff. We actually look to try to be creative to maintain those relationships. For example, instead of taking you to say dinner on Thursday night as a customer relation, maybe I would just send Grubhub to your house with some dinner and a bottle of wine. There's just some things that you can do to try to maintain those relationships, because relationships and your reputation is all we have in our business. So that's really important. But as far as the staff goes, we take temperatures of all the people, because we still come to work every day. We take temperatures of all the staff before they enter the building. We actually, in what we call the common area in our office, we're wearing masks. Fortunately, we have a building large enough that our staff has their private individual offices. So once they enter into their own office, they're free to take their mask off. But any common area, they're required to use the mask. My safety guys, I've got a small crew of those guys that go out and police the jobs. They have set up a program where we disinfect the trucks at night when they come in, and we do it in the morning before they go out. And so we fog the offices, we fog the trucks, we wipe them down. We're taking temperatures, trying to keep our staff safe. One curveball did come up, though. We weren't exactly sure how to address it. As we were headed out to a job, we got a phone call, and this is interesting. And the owner of the house called up and said, "We have coronavirus. Do you still want to do my job?" And so that was, we're always worried about the homeowner and the people in your office, and and all of a sudden he calls up and says, "You sure you want to come over here?" So that was a head scratcher. But beyond that, that was kind of a unique situation. So anyway, so we're adapting, we're staying flexible, we're coming up with ideas on what we can do. The other thing is, technology's really been helpful, and I mentioned Zoom. The other thing that does exist is this satellite imagery that you can dial in, and if you gave me your address, I can get a digital image of your house with the dimensions on it and that kind of thing. While it isn't 100% accurate, it is probably 99% accurate. And so that does save us trips to go into your house and meeting with you face to face. And you can send color selections online, and you can send some samples to somebody's house via the mail system right now. So there's ways that we're doing it. It's not, it's funny. I want to say it's not normal, but maybe what we're doing now is normal.
I know that maybe this is the new normal, right?
Yeah, that's right. And so I kind of substituted the word normal for the word comfortable. So it's not comfortable like it used to be, but we're learning a new way. And every day's new. Every day's new. Let me give you an example. So sometimes when you do have to have a meeting, there's just something natural about meeting somebody face to face, man to man. You want to stick your hand out and shake his hand and you know, introduce yourself and your company. But, you know, that's awkward nowadays.
Yeah.
You know, the feeling, you just,
Yeah.
you want to, but you stop.
You don't know if you should or you should not.
Yeah. Is he going to yell at me or, you know,
do I do a fist bump? Do I shake the hand? Do I
fist
just
bump, an
wave?
elbow?
Awesome. You know, before I go to my next question, one of the I want to go back to a little bit of the comments that I made before. So, you know, obviously when Hurricane Irma hit in 2017, you know, there was a lot of roofs that needed to be replaced, needed work on, and there was a backlog of, you know, companies that can do it. But also in those times, there's a lot of companies that show up and kind of take advantage of people at those times as well, right? You know, I wanted to, you know, for people that are watching and are afraid of that, maybe have experienced that, you know, how can they assure that CFS is, you know, different than those companies? You know, what are some of the things that you do that are different in that sense?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. I call them storm chasers. The guys, when a storm hits, you got companies popping up out of the woodwork here. And so it's interesting because when that storm hit, I was the president of the Southwest Florida Roofing Contractors Association. And the members of that association have been around and they're local people. And we meet monthly and we talk about the roofing industry. And we really do some good works. The Southwest Florida Roofing Contractors Association has a website. And all you got to do is Google it. And it'll list out like all the local roofing contractors that are members of that association. And I can assure you, everybody in the membership is taking our roofing business serious, and they're local and they've got roots here and they've got businesses established and their people are here and they're local and they don't sub out, you know, they don't sub the work out to a crew from Texas or Oklahoma or wherever they're from. And that's where we found a lot of value was just in our local community, because there's a lot of good roofing contractors here locally. But to me, if I was going to pick somebody, I would look for their history and if they're members of that association. That association is key.
Awesome. Yeah, no, and that's really good feedback. You know, you read a lot of horror stories of people that, you know, lost their money, lost their down payments, lost their, you know, 100%. I mean, I'm not going to say my experience was the smoothest either, you know, and the company that I did with is no longer in business because of that.
No.
But you know, it's you know, and it's not necessarily that we were looking for the cheapest one. We're just, you know, we're kind of referred to one, but we didn't have, you know, we're new to here. We had never really gone through a hurricane before, right? Kind of growing up in Boston, and then we had to learn all of that, right? And the first time, we didn't have all the information, you know, but this is certainly good to know. One of the questions, you know, since you mentioned the website about the Roofing Association, I wanted to ask about your own website. Where can people read more about CFS? You know, phone numbers to call, social media handles that they can look more information.
Yeah. Well, our website is cfsroofing.com, and there's quite a bit of information on that website. Our phone number is 239-561-2600. And of course, we've got a Facebook page, CFS Roofing. And I got to tell you, the website is done pretty well.
Yeah.
And you can find out anything and everything on that website.
And then obviously, if you still have questions, you can always call and ask questions. One of the questions I was going to ask, you know, if someone is looking to do a roof, do you do free estimates? Do you go into their houses and look and do free estimates, or? Yeah,
we do. You know, especially in today's world now, you know, with that satellite imagery, you just got to call up and say, hey, I'd like to get an estimate on my roof. And if we can do it via satellite. Now, there are some people that are old school and they still want to meet people. And we do have salespeople that will show up, but it seems like that's more of a, you know, that's like 1 out of 10 right now in today's world. But there are some people who really want you to come and show up. But I would say 9 out of 10 people are happy just understand that we're going to take a satellite image of your house, do the measurement, and send your proposal via electronic, and it's free.
Awesome. Well, David, towards the end here, I always allow my guests to kind of leave a message for, their past customers, current customers, or future customers, or anybody they would like to. So I'd like to give you the floor and the mic and let you leave a message for the people that are watching us now and that will watch us in the future as well.
Well, thank you. First of all, I guess I'd want to say if any of my existing customers or past customers are listening or watching, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for the business and the trust, because, you're getting ready to hand over, if you can understand the trust factor, you're getting ready to hand over a lot of money to somebody or to his business to do work at your residence or your office building or what have you. And so there's a lot of trust for somebody to hand over a $50,000 check or a $100,000 check, or in some cases down in Naples, there's roofs down there that have gone for $500,000. So all I can say is thank you. Thank you for that trust that you put in our company and myself. And for those of you that are thinking about a roof, I can assure you that I've been in this business now. I started when I was 14, so that's over 40 years. You can do the math at that point, over 40 years. And I'm going nowhere. Karen and I built a great company right here in Fort Myers with an office down in Naples and an office up in Charlotte County. And this is our business. This is our focus. We would love to have an opportunity at your business. We do things old school. We do them right. We like to go out and do jobs to make you proud as a customer and to make our company shine. It works for everybody. It really comes down to it's your house matters most. We've got a TV commercial that says that, and that's what it's all about. It's all about your house. So thank you.
Awesome. Well, David, I thank you so much for taking the time to speaking with me. Tell us a little bit about you, about your business, and a little bit about roofing too, for those that are not as familiar with. I really appreciate your time and thank you. Have a good evening.